Now, a ceremonial session of Congress to formally declare President-elect Joe Biden's victory turning into violence and mayhem overnight when a pro-Trump mob stormed the Capitol, halting the counting of electoral votes. 4 people died. We ask this question now: to what extent then is American democracy under threat? And with less than 2 weeks to go, could President Trump be removed from office? John Stremlau is from Wits University. He is a respected international relations commentator. John, good afternoon to you. As always, thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to start off with asking you to take off your academic hat, if you wouldn't mind, and react to what you saw last night as an American.
Well, Jeremy, I've never been academic and objective about Donald Trump. I have feared his presidency since I was surprised by his election in 2016, and he never ceases to disappoint me by digging lower and becoming more of a threat to the integrity and the resilience of American democracy, the oldest democracy in the world with all of its flaws. And the assault last night was case in extremis. I'd never thought I'd ever see such a day, and it was captivating, as I think we said earlier. I don't want to obscure the fact that the election in Georgia does give Joe Biden and Kamala Harris control over the Senate, at least tenuous control over the Senate, and they'll be able to push their legislation through and their confirmation of their cabinet appointments quickly, and maybe do something on COVID, which we were just talking about, or you were just talking about, with regard to the accessibility of vaccines, which is the only solution for complex democracies like South Africa and the United States. And there is an oversupply in the developed world, and I think Joe Biden will be receptive to sharing and making certain that South Africa, because it is a valued democratic partner, at least of the Biden-Harris administration, not the Trump-Pence administration, will be part of the conversation. So I'm encouraged on that front. But last night was horrific, Jeremy, and Trump is really truly a threat to American democracy.
Much talk about invoking the 25th Amendment and removing him, albeit with 2 weeks to go. Obviously, given his state of mind at the moment, one would assume that there are national security implications. Is that just talk, or could that happen?
It's an interesting question, and it is being discussed. I only wish Americans who are as informed about the human rights constitution in this country and the Chapter 9 institutions as you are about the 25th Amendment, which does give the cabinet the power, if it so determines that the president is incompetent. I cannot see that happening politically between now and January 20th, but it is being discussed, as is the issue of impeachment, which I also don't see happening because the time is just too short. Whether or not Donald Trump will be held accountable for the truly illegal and egregious behavior that he incited on the part of those demonstrators, who will be, those who are captured, will be punished. I have no doubt about that, to some extent, be held accountable. But whether Trump will be and how, I wish I had a crystal ball on, because it is extremely important for the sustainability and resilience of American democracy to hold, to remind us what Mandela always told us, that no man is above the law. And he has been acting above the law, Jeremy.
Well, in that respect then, and there's been a lot of angry rhetoric in response to what happened last night, did you see this as an attempted coup d'etat?
That's a dramatic term, but it certainly smacks of what I have studied in Africa over the years with fragile institutions and demagogues who get self-inflated and don't like to leave office. You know, democracy depends on the consent of the loser. Jacob Zuma, for all of his faults, when he lost at Nasrec by a close vote in 2017, he accepted, and that was the start of his rapid leaving office finally. And in the case of Donald Trump, he really can't leave, I don't think, before January 20th, but it really does speak to the need for democratic reform in the case of the U.S. Sort of archaic democratic institutions, and that's going to be very difficult.
Always appreciate the insight, Professor John Stremlau, and particularly bringing it back and grounding it in South Africa. Until next time, thank you very much indeed from Wits University.